All right, here's our last example in section 8.3, example number 5. But I think that it's probably a good idea for you, instead of using it as an example, because it's much easier to do it when I'm walking you through it. What I'd like you to do is pause the video and see if you can do this one all by yourself. That's going to be the true test to make sure that you understand. See if you can read through this problem, figure out what two kind of topics or ideas they're talking about. See if you can set me up two equations with two different variables, a system of equations. See if you can do that first. Then see if you can solve it and get the correct answer. It's much harder to do it by yourself, so this is a really good test to see how you're doing. Pause the video, try this one, and then come back with me to see how far you got. All right, example number 5 says, a fork weighs 50 grams. A knife weighs 70 grams. If a set that contains knives and forks has 20 pieces in it and weighs 1,220 grams, how many knives and how many forks are there? So we're trying to figure out how many knives and how many forks. Can I use K for knives and F for forks instead of X's and Y's all the time? That way it helps you remember what my variables stand for. All right, so I know I'm going to have K and F. I'm missing knives and forks. I want to figure out how many of each. Okay, now I have to figure out what kind of ideas they're talking about. Well, the first kind of idea that I notice is about weight, right? I know forks weigh 50 grams, knives weigh 70 grams for a total of 1,220 grams. So maybe I can make an equation that says that. What else is it talking about in this question? Oh, it looks like there's a set. There's knives and there's forks for a total of 20 pieces. So maybe that's my second equation. So I'm going to do a first equation all about weight. I'm going to do a second equation all about the number of pieces that I have in this set. For weight, we know that each fork weighs 50 grams. So can I say 50 times F? I know that each knife weighs 70 grams, so 70 times however many knives there is. I can do 70 times K. I know that my fork weight plus my knife weight equals a total of 1,220 grams. So I've used up all of these numbers in that first equation talking all about weight, and I have my two variables there. All right, what about my second equation? The only value that I have left here is this 20, but I do note that there are forks plus there are knives for a total of 20 pieces. So there's where I can put my 20. And I have my two variables. So it looks like this is my system of equations. Hopefully you got the same thing as I did. All right, so that's to me our hardest step. Now we just have to solve it. You can solve it with either method you'd like, making sure that you're careful and you show all your work. It looks like on this method, I'm going to use elimination. It looks like I multiplied the second equation by negative 50. It looks like I'm trying to eliminate the f's. You could have eliminated the k's, and we should still get the same final answer. So either way should work. I multiplied the second equation by negative 50, so that my positive 50f and my negative 50f cancel. I ended up then with a 20k equals 220. I can divide both sides by 20, and I ended up getting k equals 11. If k equals 11, I can figure out what f is by plugging it back into one of these original equations. I'm probably going to choose the second one. It's a little more simple. I have f plus 11 equals 20. I can subtract both sides by 11, and I ended up getting f equals 9. Okay, but it was a word problem, so it doesn't really mean much unless you know what those numbers actually mean. So let's go ahead and figure out what k equals and f means in this word problem and label our answer. Well, remember K represented knives and F represented forks. So I know that in this set, I have 11 knives and 9 forks. It should make sense. When I add them together, I should get 20. If I were to plug in the 11 and the 9 and multiply them by how much they weigh, I should end up getting 1,220 grams. So just a quick way to double check that my answer is right. It always helps if I'm trying to get 100%, right?